Okay. Um, so the character and paragraph styles are found over here on the right side. Um, you have this paragraph symbol, you have the letter A here for character, and then paragraph symbol for paragraph. So I'm going to pull both of the menus out just to have them floating here. And then we'll go through paragraph styles first. So essentially the concept of paragraph and character styles, the way they work together is paragraph styles establishes a style for an entire paragraph of copy. All of the words in the paragraph, right? The character styles override the paragraph style to establish an individual style for individual characters, individual words, etc. So you're talking high-level style for the paragraph styles, and then more detailed style for the individual characters in there. So here you can see in the paragraph styles panel here, I have one that's called header, I have one that's called color options, and then one that's called body copy. So I've established those styles in one of my boxes, and then I just duplicated all of the text boxes throughout the entire catalog um, uh, to create those styles, to duplicate them, and they just stayed intact as I duplicated the type. So here's how I know what's what here, right? So if I double click this shoe name type here, I can see in my paragraph styles on the right that header is highlighted in that styles palette. And if I double click this body copy, actually triple click this body copy here, I'm selecting the entire paragraph here and I see body copies selected, okay? And then same's true for these color options here, okay? So these are all tied to this. So in InDesign, I can press the W key, and W actually turns my invisibles on or off. So when I hit W, I can see the text box frame, I can see the shoe image frame, etc. And along with that, I can see this P symbol here at the end of the paragraphs. So 1, 2, 3, and then here this pound sign. This means that's the end of the copy in the text box itself. So there's no more copy to fill this text box, meaning I can just stretch this text box as far as I need, and no additional copy will start populating in here. It's not hidden in the background. If I drag this text box tighter, you're going to see that copy disappears, right? And I don't see that pound symbol at the end, so I know as a designer when I see the invisibles and I don't see that pound symbol in a text box, I know that there is more text to be had in that text box essentially. Okay, so I can stretch it out and then see that pound symbol. I can rest assured that there's no type left in the box. Now as I close the box here, you can see very subtly here there's like a red box with a plus sign in it. It's red. That also is an indicator that there's more text to be had in this box. That sign, technically means there's overset text, quote unquote, overset text here in this box, meaning that this box needs to be stretched out. If I do have overset text in a box and I want to quickly just see what's happening, I can click that plus sign with that little red box, and I can just click somewhere else, and the rest of the text is just going to populate in another text box here. All right. So high level, type there. Back to the paragraph style then. When I select this whole line of copy here for the paragraph, I have header selected, but you can see that there's another number here that's different from the header paragraph style. Okay, that's because there's a character style applied to this that's overriding the paragraph style called header. And this one is called, if I highlight it with the double click, shoe number. It's called shoe number, okay? And it's in the character styles panel. All right, so let me show some options here for these styles. Now keep an eye on the rest of the text boxes as we're making changes, because you're going to see that because we have paragraph and character styles tied to all these, as I make changes to individual styles, all of my content is going to be changing simultaneously. But throughout the entire 20-pager, so it's one selection rather than 20 times 3 on each spread page, whatever. I don't even know how much that is, 90, 60, something like that. Math is not my thing, but that's essentially how much time you're getting saved, right? So to jump into the paragraph style options, I just double-click this empty space next to the header name. If you actually hit, if you double-click, the text here, header in the box, well, actually, usually if I single-click header, it's going to let me change the name of this style. So I just kind of double-click outside of here, or double-click that, and then it opens up this paragraph style options dialog box. So these are all of the options that you have to change for paragraph style. So I'm just going to do the basic one, where under basic character formats here, you can change font family. So let me go from a condensed bold to like a thin, and then see what that looks like. Other options here, type size. So obviously, that can get bigger and smaller. Kerning, you can adjust the kerning throughout there. The casing style, this is a more interesting one where you can kind of make it from small caps to normal casing properties, and so on and so forth. So that's interesting. Position, you can make everything superscript all at once or subscript and so on. Just some options, okay? I'll cancel it and jump back into the menu. Advanced character formats, okay, so scaling the type, I don't really advise it, but maybe this might be something that you might have to do, to satisfy a client request, right? So all of these options, you can just fiddle with those. Indents and spacing, so you can right, center, justify all of these different alignment options for the type. Just quickly right, left. Indentation, so you can indent everything all at once, right? So you can add tabs to it. You can add tabs to the first line indent. So let me go to the body copy style and then do a first line indent. So you can see that just the first line can be indented here. So say you wanted in your paragraph some kind of icon or something at the very beginning or something like that, or I'm not really sure, but the option is there. You just never know what kind of reasoning you'll come across to use some of this stuff. Space after, space before, space after, obviously that's pretty useful there. You can tighten it up or make a wider gap between paragraphs here for the before or after. Tabs, you can actually have each paragraph each paragraph with a body copy paragraph style, in this case, have its own set of tabs without having to create tabs in individual paragraphs. These are nice, the paragraph rules. This is good for like underlines and stuff, right? So if I have a rule above this paragraph, I can turn that rule on, and then I can establish even a rule below as well. But so let's say I just wanted the rule above just to keep it simple. You can increase or decrease the weight of it. You can also adjust the offset. So you can just move this thing around up and down and so on. You can select the type of line that you want. You can adjust its thickness. This is really handy for layouts, especially. Let me think here. Width, right in it. yeah, just all kinds of different options here. Usually I'll use the solid thin one. So like if you have a design where you need that rule, um, you can actually extend it like out here, right? So if my design called for this rule to come all the way out, I would have to actually extend all of these boxes out too. You could do that numerically, let's just say by extending the box to what I want, my source box, let's just say. And then remember this little reference point option up here? You can kind of click the top left corner, and that's saying that every object that I select will have a top left corner reference point. So a very quick way to stretch this box equally amongst all of my objects could be to find the width of this box, which is 6.3192 to be exact, and then just selecting all of the boxes and then applying the same width to them in the designs. So I can select, shift-click, select, shift-click, paste. Okay, so now I have a kind of a consistent, whatever. See how this type is kind of running through here and it looks really bad? It's going through the shoe and everything. It's not what I want to have happen. That's very simply just a body copy paragraph or a style. So then I'll just have to go back and then find, what's a way to do that? We would do right indent. Let's see, that would require, yeah, so I could adjust the right indent – 3.75 inches and hit OK. And then so, that change could be just made across the board. And then so as I'm creating other pieces of content throughout, obviously this box needs to be opened up a little bit and adjusted the same way. I'd have to go through my entire design and just adjust the widths as such. So this would have to be like that. So it saves time. I mean, it would take a lot longer to individually just do an underline rule to this, line it up perfectly, then space it out in the middle of all your type and everything, and then just go through all that rather than just applying the styles and doing it that way. Let's see, going into the header. So this is where you could kind of experiment with your look and feel and your layout. Like let's say you just build a base foundation of the layout based on what kind of research you did and interesting things that you found on Behance or those websites that we all talked about. And you had applied that to your spread, in the background art. Here you can just take your time then and just figure out what's the best type to complement. To complement your, your look and feel, and then kind of go from there. So once you kind of figure it out, pick your type, and then you can kind of tweak it from there. If you do go through and change these individually, because let's just say that's how you work best, right? Keep in mind a couple of things. One being that if I have a style, it's already established. So I was editing my header style here, and I changed the core header style with my paragraph styles sheet. If I were to just manually change it to something else, if I'm experimenting around a little bit, let's just pick one here. So if I'm experimenting around, I'm like, yeah, I like that. I like it to be heavy. Something like that. You'll notice when I select it then, the next time, that I have this plus sign next to its name in the styles palette. This means that what I'm seeing here is actually an override of an existing style in the design, okay? So when I select on something else and I say, okay, I want to select header style. Well, why isn't it looking like that one up here? That's because this was actually changed manually um, uh, in my type palette outside of the paragraph styles sheet, right? So if I want this to be my new style, I could go one of two ways. I could create a new paragraph style out of what I'm seeing here and apply it to the rest of the design, or I can take my existing paragraph style and just make it look like that in my paragraph style menu. So I'm going to show you the previous way. Let's say you kind of got to a point where you started, playing with your colors and everything else, and you decided that you wanted to create a new style out of that. Let me see if I can pick a color that's not too awful. Okay. So in this case, what I'd have to do is then select this, and then in my paragraph style palette, hit this new paragraph style icon here. And then underneath the header plus icon, you can see paragraph style 1 pops up. So what I would do is just click on that, and then rename it something new, like new header. And then go through, double click, and then select new header for all of these. Right? Now you can see that my numbers next to the header paragraph style. Well, let me take a step back. So to apply that header style then to everything, I just selected the paragraphs that I wanted to change and then clicked a new header style in the paragraph styles panel. Okay. Let me go back a couple steps. Now let's say, for instance, I have not created a new header style yet, and I notice that this is different from this. These are two different styles, and I want to go back. I want to bring this back to its default style. I'm noticing it in the menu that it has an override. I just would I'd hold Alt, and then I'd click the paragraph style in the paragraph styles panel, and then it would just default back to what the original paragraph style is. So then I can better understand what that original style is. Okay. Character styles are different, right? So this is all part of the same paragraph style, and what character styles is doing is adopting the color of this and the paragraph settings of the header style. And I'll highlight this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Well, let's see what this style is actually doing. So when you open up character styles, you can see that you have a lot less options here. You do have some underlying options and so on, but you have a lot less options. So what I'm using here is this baseline shift, so I'm able to, let me turn my preview on. So lift it up, lower it down, and so on and so forth. And then just adjusting the size of it, and it's changing independently of the paragraph style. It still has this. It's still part of the same paragraph, but it's got a whole new look to it. Okay. So why else would you want to use character styles? You might want to bold certain sections of bodies of copy, like maybe body copy has like pricing or something like that into it, or key things that you want to, very common things to do would be to bold something, right? Let me just create a bold style. So in this body copy paragraph style, I have a character style of none. So what I'm going to do is just actually change it to what I want it to be, which is bold. And then let's just change the color, right? Like to something that stands out, like red. Okay, so say I was happy with that, and I wanted to make this a style so I could use it throughout my whole piece. I'm going to, under character styles, then just hit my new character style icon down below, double click, and then say bold red. So that's my new style. So anything I want bold red in this body copy, I'll just highlight and click bold red. Right? So let's say a client comes along later on and says, you know, all of that bold stuff that you put, I want the text to be not bold, I want it to be italic, bold italic. Okay, well, open up your character styles then, and then select bold italic, and then hit OK, and then you're done. You're not having to work as much. I actually had this whole box selected. Be careful, because I had this box selected, and then I clicked bold red, and the whole thing turned a variation of that character style. So you want to just double check your work, but then make sure nothing is selected. So at this point, then I would just go bold italic. You know, and they can change their mind as many times as they want after the fact, but once they approve this kind of spread design, you have all of your styles that are already established there, so you kind of got yourself covered for any worst case scenarios coming down the road. And so that's really how to create a new character style. A lot of times I'll, instead of going right to the styles, I will just experiment with different fonts. For instance, like I'll go here and then change this line here, and then maybe try and make it bigger, for the type, and then just compare it to other things like, oh, do I like this one? Do I like this variation here? Which one do I like? And then after it's all said and done and you settle on something, then you can select it and then just create new styles. Okay, so let's just say I'll select it, create a new style. And then this is kind of fun. So let's say I want all my headers to be this American typewriter style. Like this is where I'm going. But I have all these other crazy styles going on in the whole piece. What I'll do is actually take this my original header style and then throw it in the garbage can. And then there's a dialog box here that's going to pop up that says delete paragraph style and replace with. So I can actually replace the paragraph style I'm deleting with a new one, and it changes everything. But obviously I'm going to have to override each one. I didn't do something, so hold on, let me go back. I'll have to actually make tweaks to it because it's 12 point rather than the original. So it gets you almost there, but usually not without any problems. But the long and the short of it is that when you delete a style, you can replace it with another one that you created. So if I was happy with this, then I'd be pretty close to there. I mean, I just have to change the look and feel of a couple spreads, and then basically my main layouts are done. I could then just focus on my other pages with more creative work. Another thing I wanted to go over was these folio treatments here. Here you can just really apply a style to it. So I have the shoe number style applied to it. I want to actually make a new style, and so I clicked on the new character style dialog box there, and then maybe I can just change the color and then change the whatever the typeface. Do that. Oops. Yeah, there it is. So then at this point, I have this kind of changed. And then so what I can do is actually then just go highlight these other ones and then just click on my new character style in the layout. So that's a faster way of doing it too, instead of just individually clicking and then selecting your fonts and menus and so on. Okay. Another really helpful thing that I've seen, and I'll turn my invisibles on, is actually bringing in traced like artwork, like logos and so on, into it, and then actually setting it into a line of copy. Actually is really helpful. So let me just draw like a shape in Illustrator. Actually, I can just draw a shape here. So let me just do like an ellipse, like a circle. Like let's just say this is like a logo. And it's almost looks like a logo anyway. So this is my object, and I have, obviously it's a couple of vector pieces of art. What I can do is actually just select both of them and then hit Command G, and that's going to group them just like it grouped those images that we did of our shoes earlier with the shadows and all that. I'm actually going to scale this down. So I'm just going to click a corner and drag it down, okay? So I'm going to copy and cut, so Command C, Command X. And then in this line of body copy, let's just say I want to actually put my logo here, so then I can actually copy and paste this logo into my footer. So I just hit Command V to paste. And so at this point, this logo is actually not a free kind of piece of art. In effect, it's actually part of this text box. So this came into handy as I was doing menus in the past, to where different products on the menu had different levels of heat, for people. So instead of actually dragging around tiny little icons for heat, you could just copy and paste icons for whatever into the body copy, and then just add spacing, tabs to move it that way. And so on and so forth. You can actually treat it like it's a piece of piece of text, but it's actually an image, right? So a lot of things that I typically would do is actually drop the baseline for this. So like let's say that's was something that I wanted in my design. Well, if I wanted to repeat that, I could just copy and paste it in each text box. Oops, so I'm hitting keys. All right, so I'll copy it, and then I'll just go box for box, and then select all, paste, and then extend the image box. All right. So there will be times when that will be handy, probably in the future. I really like that feature, actually, of being able to integrate the vector art into your text, body text like that. Anything else? That's pretty much the gist of it.